Akseba Fetu, welcome back to another video. It's your boy Extract, and I wanted to take this wonderful nice view for you guys, but it looks like it's too windy and it might just suck for me to just do the whole video in a windy environment. But anyways, on today's video we're going to be talking about software craftsmanship versus speed, or versus getting it done. I'm going to be diving into how do I handle it professionally and personally, and also I'll be getting into the more nitty-gritty part of it, so stay tuned. So point number one, this is not about craftsmanship or your artwork or you being able to write clean code or you being able to deliver on time. It's all about judgment, because your judgment is very important. It's like, I've been a dev for quite some time now, and there are times where I had to consider what's more important between a new feature and a production bug fix. And sometimes you'll get all of these things coming at the same time, and you start wondering, yeah man, I'm gonna run out of time. I'm in a 2-week sprint, and in this 2-week sprint I might not be able to finish this project and have clean code. But one of the things that I had to learn was judgment. Judgment is, if there's a production issue stopping a couple of people from doing certain processes, I need to stop what I'm working on the specific feature, and then now I need to start focusing on the other stuff, which would be the production issue. It's all about judgment at the end of the day. Sometimes there are bugs or there are production issues that are not worth stopping your whole world for them, because they're not critical. But they're critical ones that can make not just one but thousands and thousands of customers have issues. So those ones require you to have some sort of judgment, because it's important for you to have judgment at the end of the day. So I think my key point for this one is having judgment. You being able to discern between which one works or which one is important can help you build a good software, because you then start to think systematic thinking. Even when you're doing that production issue, when you're fixing that, you start thinking system design thinking, because firstly, the reason there was a bug is because there was a blind spot which you probably didn't consider, and that's why there's a bug. At the end of the day, even if you focus too much on your craftsmanship, you will never get the software right, because customers vary. Customers will never be the same. People that are using your app, whatever you're working on, they're not gonna use it the same way as you tested or as your testers tested it, because that's just how things are. Sometimes you just have an iOS update to 26, and guess what? There's some old feature that is deprecated from Android or from iOS. It's not in your control. So sometimes it's much more important to focus on what's critical, what's more important, because your judgment helps you to build better code. It doesn't matter who you are, where you have been, how many years of experience you have. We all have been through the trenches. So before I close off that, next time when you write a piece of code, just know, man, it's not gonna be perfect, and there's no way that your code will run forever, especially if you're dependent on a framework or an environment or a library. There's always something that's gonna be updated. So your judgment is important. Get it right the first time. If in the middle of your sprint there's a production issue, is it critical? Can I stop everything? If it's critical, I attend to it. If it's not critical, it can wait for the next cycle, and then I can push it as that one thing that I've done after I had finished my feature. The weather did us dirty. Wanted to continue shooting, and a lot just happened. But yeah, it is what it is. Anyways, it's not about craftsmanship or delivery. It's about judgment at the end of the day. it's not the binary choice kind of situation. It's more about being a strategic thinker, but having the strategic judgment based on context. That's me summing up, the difference. And once you have that mindset, like, the real skill is when you know which approach to apply. That's the ultimate skill. But let me just take a quick twist of this conversation. Now, when you think about judgment on its own, it also tells you how you think as an individual, like how you think as a developer. I'm trying to trace back how I thought as a junior dev and as a intermediate dev. So as a junior, I would always ask myself, how do I complete this task? But as time went, as an intermediate, I started asking myself, how do we solve the problem? Basically, I just moved away from thinking about me as an individual and then thinking about the whole team. That's the key. And that's where now you start understanding the real skill, which is judgment. As a junior, you would focus on finishing the job. But as an intermediate, you think more about the team success. Like, I can finish my task and everybody's happy, but if the rest of the team is not done, it doesn't matter if, I did everything right, but at the end of the day, the whole team couldn't deliver, which is something that you don't want to, experience. It's not a nice thing, guys. So let me just put it this way. In my junior days, it was all about foundation, to be honest. It was all about mastering my craft. It was all about delivering, like, deliver reliably so. And it was all about owning my learning. So meaning that in terms of mastering my craft, like, I was, making sure that I'm reliable with the core stack for the team. Like, whatever technology that we're going to be working on, I'll familiarize myself with it. And when it came to delivery, I'd make sure that I'd meet deadlines, and I make sure that there are test cases, and make sure that, not always, but I'd try to have some clean code. It's the things that I used to be obsessed about. And when it came to my learning, it's like I would always research and read, documents before asking questions. But eventually my mindset started changing, started shifting when I moved from being an individual to be a team player. This is where a whole lot of things start to change. So once I moved into the intermediate role, I started to think more about, the the team. So I stopped being a person who was a task completer to a person that was a problem solver. When you are chasing the deadlines, you always want to make sure that you finish your tasks. You want to get your tasks done. You want to make your PM happy. But all of that had to change. Like, I had to now question if it's the right solution, because this is where the problem solving part of it comes in. I didn't just do tickets. I just did ticket with understanding. I had to consider something that a colleague always says, it's a blind spot when you're driving. Those edge cases, the system impact. I started having to change that. Because now my judgment started to shift, that it's not about finishing the job quickly or getting the job done, but it's about solving the problem. Now, that is a game changer for me. And I then moved from, someone once said that I'm a typewriter. I always type on the code, which is, being a code writer, to more of a system thinker. Like, thinking about the system designs, scalability, documentation. I can go on and on and on. Sometimes I'll just ask myself, if I was to make an update or make a code change to the code that I'm working on 6 months later, how difficult would it be? It made me think to that point. Like, it was crazy. And as time went, like, I started moving away from being the one who's always learning to being the one who's teaching. And also a game changer because 1 hour to 3 hours that you spend on a day-to-day basis, doing code reviews, going through documentation, and one of the things that I learned about teaching is that it actually expands, or your growth accelerates in a way, in terms of your knowledge when you teach others, because it's you reaffirming what you already know and what you're doing. And I think one last point, obviously I moved from being an individual to be a team player or a team amplifier. It's finding those small things that delay the progress of the team and trying to automate some of those things, like having to build or do script that does a repetition, or building something that will help with maintenance. It's all those things, man, that go into how you think, like how does it benefit the team. But anyways, that is me. I don't know what you guys think. I'm just wondering, what are the things that you had to change in your mind on how you approached your day-to-day work? What are the things that you struggled with as a junior and you had to apply a mind shift? What are those things that you had to change from doing that were affecting your judgment to, making you the developer that you are today? You can leave a comment down below on the comment section. And don't forget to like and subscribe. See you on the next one. Cheers. Bye-bye.